Hello, welcome to my channel. It's dress time again. Today I want to make a princess line dress with English seams. That means the seam will start at the shoulder and goes all the way down over the bust into the hem. The dress will have a little turnover collar, short sleeves and buttons all down the front. Well, that means I'm probably done next year with all these many buttonholes. Well, I have some, well, quite a lot actually, of this red modal twill. Modal is a more sustainable kind of rayon. I really hope it is enough, because the skirts are flared a bit. And princess line dresses take lots of fabric. We will see. So let's jump right into it and get the pattern. The pattern is available on my website for free. Go to dressdeveloper.de and select the pattern kits. Then go to a princess line dress. And here I select the English seams. You can change the model length here, 120 centimeters as default. And I increase the flare amount on the hem. Short sleeves. Turned on color. Buttons in front. And I want pockets. Now I just select the size, seam allowance and paper format, and then I can create the pattern. Here I have the pattern preview with information about all the settings I made and the pieces. And here is the preview of the pattern. Which is available here. There you go. Here's the pattern, ready for printing, cutting and gluing. Okay, everything fits on fabric. I even have some leftovers there. I wonder if I can squeeze a little bolero jacket out of that. But up to now, let's cut this dress. The front and back facing and one of the collar pieces get interfaced with some fusible interfacing. Then I sew both of the collar pieces together at the sides and the top. The seam allowance then gets trimmed and the collar is turned inside out and pressed. Yes, I could get a larger scissor, but I would need to get up then. Now I join all the facings to two long strips. One strip is the back and the front facing, and the second strip are all of the hem facings. Time for a session at my serger. I serge around all the pocket pieces and then I serge the inside of all the facing strips and most of the dress panels. I don't bother serging the edges which get later covered up by the facings, and I don't serge the edges which will go over the bust right yet. If you don't have a serger, a zigzag stitch will do the job. Now I sew the pockets together, but I start and stop just short of the seam allowance at the opening. Then the dress panels get sewn together to form a front and a back piece. The seam allowance gets pressed open. This is the front seam, which is not yet serged, and you will see why in a moment. I press the bust curve over a tailor's hem, and you will notice that the seam allowance does pucker a bit. To reduce this, I cut the seam allowance back in a waveform, which will then get serged. The shoulder seams then get sewn, and we are ready to insert the sleeves. I sew a line of gathering stitches at the top of the sleeves, just some nice large stitches, and then I gather the sleeve cap just a bit. I don't want visual gathers. I just want to ease the sleeve into the armhole. I like to insert the sleeves when the dress still lays flat. So I line up the top notch of the sleeve with the shoulder seam, the ends of the sleeves and the notches, single notch to single notch, double notch to double notch, and then I do my best to ease the sleeves in between. When I sew the sleeve in place. After that, the seam gets serged. The side seam gets sewn in one go, from the sleeves all down to the hem. I leave an opening where the pockets will go later, just about a hand's width below the waist. When I sew in the pockets, I sew the seam allowance of the pocket to the seam allowance of a dress, just one side and then the other side. Now I can hem the sleeves. To finish the facings, I sew them together at the angled edge, which will form a nice metered corner. Then the facing gets sewn in place all around, and the collar gets sandwiched in between the dress and the facing. The seam allowance of the facing then gets trimmed and the facing gets understitched, which means that the facing is sewn to the seam allowance. This step helps to keep the facing in place. I sewed down the facings all by hand, catching only 1 or 2 threads of the outer fabric, so it's nearly invisible. I guess you can just top stitch the hem and the front facings gets kinda tucked in by the buttons and buttonholes, but I highly suggest you sew down the top part of the facing, including the collar, so this will stay nice and in place. Now all what's left to do are the buttons and the buttonholes, and then we are finally done.